Alex, please, Mom says. Jessica's medical bills are over $100,000. We are going to lose everything. We need your help. I adjust my briefcase. You could not afford a dorm room for me, but for Jessica, and I live in a moving truck for 8 months. I hand her $500. Here, that is $500, more than you ever gave me when I needed it. This will not even cover one hospital bill, Mom says. Then you should have invested in both daughters, not just one. Now, if you will excuse me, I have a meeting, but let me back up. Let me tell you about the day I turned 18 and how my mother chose which daughter was worth investing in. I grew up as the invisible daughter. Not invisible in the obvious way. I was not neglected or abused in any traditional sense. I had food, clothes, a roof over my head, but in every way that mattered, I was always second to my sister Jessica. My mother, Linda, was a high school guidance counselor who believed in potential and promise. The problem was, she only saw those things in one of her daughters. Jessica was 3 years older than me, beautiful in that effortless way some people are, charismatic, the kind of person who walked into rooms and made them brighter. I was the practical one, the quiet one, the one who got good grades because I worked for them, not because learning came naturally. I was shorter, rounder, plainer. I wore glasses. I studied on Friday nights while Jessica went to parties. I was everything a mother should be proud of: responsible, hardworking, dependable. But those are not the qualities that make a mother's heart swell with pride. Those are the qualities that make you useful. Our father left when I was 6 and Jessica was 9. I barely remember him except as a voice that got louder every night before he finally stopped coming home at all. After that, it was Mom, Jessica, and me in a small 3-bedroom house in Sacramento. Mom worked hard. I will give her that. She worked her counselor job during the day and did tutoring on weekends to make ends meet. Money was always tight, but we got by. We had what we needed, if not always what we wanted. Except Jessica usually got what she wanted. It started small. New shoes for Jessica's dance recital while I wore hand-me-downs from our cousin. A laptop for Jessica's junior year while I shared the family desktop. Dinner at Jessica's favorite restaurant for her good report card while mine got a good job, honey, and a pat on the head. Mom always had reasons. Jessica needed those shoes for her performance. Jessica needed that laptop for her advanced classes. Jessica had worked so hard. She deserved a celebration. And me? I was doing fine. I was responsible. I did not need the same level of attention or investment because I was going to be okay no matter what. That was the narrative. Jessica was the special one who needed nurturing, and I was the sturdy one who would survive anything. I believed it for longer than I should have. I told myself Mom was right, that Jessica needed more help, more support, more everything. I told myself I was being selfish for feeling hurt when Mom missed my track meets because of Jessica's dance competitions. I told myself it was fine that my birthday was usually forgotten in the chaos of preparing for Jessica's events that always seemed to fall in the same week. I made myself small, undemanding, easy. I thought if I was good enough, worked hard enough, needed little enough, eventually Mom would see me too. I was wrong. The cracks started showing during my junior year of high school. I had gotten into the National Honor Society, made first chair in orchestra, and won a regional science fair. I came home with my awards and certificates, proud, thinking maybe this time Mom would see all I had accomplished. She looked at my certificates and smiled. "That is wonderful, honey. Hey, can you help me with something? Jessica needs her dress altered for prom and I have no idea how to do it. You are good with that kind of thing, right?" I spent that evening hemming my sister's prom dress while Mom and Jessica looked at hairstyle photos on the couch, laughing together. My certificates went into a drawer. I do not think Mom ever looked at them again, but I told myself it was fine. I told myself college would be different. Once I got to college, I would be on my own, making my own path. And finally Mom would see me as more than just the supporting character in Jessica's story. I had no idea how wrong I was. The conversation happened in April of my senior year. I was sitting at the kitchen table with college acceptance letters spread in front of me. I had gotten into UC Davis, my dream school, with a partial scholarship that would cover about 60% of costs. I had done the math 100 times. With my savings from working part-time at the library, student loans, and some help from Mom, I could make it work. Jessica was finishing her sophomore year at Sacramento State, living in a dorm on campus. She was studying communications, though studying was generous. She was mostly majoring in social life, based on her social media posts. But she was happy, and that was what mattered to Mom. I had my acceptance letter, my financial aid package, and a list of dorm options all ready when Mom came home from work. "Mom, look," I said, unable to contain my excitement. "I got into Davis, and I got a scholarship." Mom looked at the letter, and something crossed her face. Not pride, not excitement, something heavier, something that made my stomach drop. "That is great, honey," she said slowly, "but we need to talk about the financial reality here." My excitement started to curdle. I have a scholarship. I have been saving. I have done all the math. It is not just about the tuition, Alex. There is room and board, books, fees, living expenses. Mom sat down across from me with a sigh. "I have been looking at the numbers, and I just do not think we can make it work." "What do you mean?" "I have done the budget, with loans and my savings." "Alex, you have to understand. I am already helping Jessica with her housing. Her dorm costs are significant. And now with her sorority dues. Sorority dues." I stared at her. "Mom, that is optional. She does not need to be in a sorority. It is important for her networking, for her future career." Mom's voice had that tone she got when she had already made up her mind and was just waiting for me to accept it. "Look, here is what I am thinking. You could go to Sacramento State like Jessica, live at home, commute. That way we would only need to cover tuition, which is much more affordable." I felt something crack inside my chest, but I got into Davis. I got a scholarship. I have been working toward this for years, and you will still get a great education at State. It is a good school. Lots of people would be grateful for the opportunity. Lots of people did not work as hard as I did to get into a better school. My voice was rising now, all the years of being second finally bubbling over. Why can Jessica live in a dorm but I have to commute? Why does she get to have the college experience while I live at home? Mom's face hardened. "Because we cannot afford to dorm rooms, Alex. We just cannot. I wish we could, but we cannot. Jessica is already established there. She has her life set up. You are just starting. It makes sense for you to be the one to make this sacrifice." Sacrifice. The word tasted bitter. It is always me who has to sacrifice. Jessica needs new shoes, so I wear hand-me-downs. Jessica needs a laptop, so I share. Jessica needs a dorm room, so I stay home. When is it my turn, Mom? When do I get to be the priority? That is not fair, Mom said, her voice getting sharp. I have given you everything I could. Just because I cannot afford to give you the exact same things as your sister does not mean I love you less. Does it not? I was crying now, years of swallowed hurt finally spilling over. Because that is exactly what it feels like. It feels like Jessica matters and I am just the backup. The one who will be fine no matter what because I always have been. You are being dramatic. You are going to college. You are getting an education. Do you know how many kids do not get that opportunity? I am not talking about other kids. I am talking about me and Jessica. Why does she deserve more? Mom stood up, her face flushed with anger. You know what, Alex? You are right. Jessica does need more help. You want to know why? Because you are strong. You are capable. You are going to be fine no matter what college you go to or where you live. But Jessica needs more support. She is not as tough as you. And I am sorry if that hurts your feelings, but that is the reality. She walked out of the kitchen, leaving me sitting there with my acceptance letter and my scholarship and my 4 years of hard work that apparently meant nothing. I went to my room and cried until I had no tears left. Then I made a decision. If Mom would not help me go to Davis, I would figure it out myself. I took out more loans. I got a second job. I worked every hour I was not in school. By the time graduation came, I had scraped together just enough to cover my first year. Tuition, books, and a meal plan. But not housing. The dorms were full by the time I could afford to commit. Off-campus housing was too expensive. I applied for every scholarship, every grant, every form of aid I could find. Nothing came through in time. 2 weeks before move-in day, I sat Mom down again. I figured out the money for tuition and food, I said, but I need help with housing, just for the first year. After that, I will have an on-campus job, and I can cover it myself. Please, Mom, I have done everything I can. Mom looked uncomfortable. Alex, I told you, we cannot afford to housing payments. Jessica's dorm costs are less important than my education. I was past being polite now. Mom, This is my future. This is everything I have worked for. I am not asking for much. Just help me with housing for 1 year. I wish I could, honey. I really do. But Jessica has needs too. Her sorority costs more than we expected, and she needs a new laptop. And then tell her to get a job. I shouted. Tell her to work like I have been working. Tell her to sacrifice something for once. Do not yell at me, Alex. I am doing my best here. If you had just agreed to go to state like I suggested, none of this would be a problem. So this is my fault? I am being punished for getting into a better school? You are not being punished. You are being asked to be reasonable. I looked at my mother, really looked at her, and saw the truth I had been avoiding my whole life. I was never going to be the daughter she chose. I was always going to be the one who had to make it work on my own. Fine, I said quietly. I will figure it out. Thank you for understanding, sweetie. I knew you would. You are always so mature about these things. Mature, responsible, easy. I went to my room and started researching. By the end of the night, I had found my solution. It was not what I wanted. It was not what any 18-year-old dreams of for their freshman year of college, but it was what I could afford. 3 days before I left for Davis, I rented a moving truck. Not to move my things, I barely had any things. I rented it to live in. For $800 a month, I could park it in an RV lot near campus. It had a small bed in the back, a cooler for food, and enough space for my clothes and books. It was not legal for long-term living, but the lot manager looked the other way if you paid in cash and did not cause trouble. I told Mom I had found alternative housing. I did not tell her what that meant. The day I left, Mom hugged me and told me how proud she was. Jessica barely looked up from her phone. I loaded my few belongings into the back of that truck and drove away from the house I grew up in, knowing something fundamental had broken that would never be repaired. I was 18 years old, and I was about to spend my freshman year of college living in a truck because my mother said she could not afford 2 dorm rooms. But Jessica got hers, and I got wheels. The first month in the truck was hell. I parked in the back corner of the RV lot, as far from the street as possible. The other residents were a mix of actual RV owners and people like me. People who were 1 paycheck away from homelessness. People making unconventional choices for unconventional reasons. People who did not quite fit anywhere else. Nobody asked questions. That was the unspoken rule. You kept to yourself. You paid your lot fee. You did not cause trouble. I kept to myself. I had 1 set of sheets that I washed at the laundromat every Sunday. I had 3 outfits for class that I rotated, washing them in the dorm bathroom sinks when the buildings were empty late at night. I showered at the campus gym at 5 in the morning before anyone else arrived. I studied in the library until it closed at midnight, then walked back to my truck in the dark. I ate ramen, so much ramen, and peanut butter sandwiches, and whatever I could afford with my meal plan that I could stretch to last. I learned that bananas were cheap and filling, that coffee from the dining hall could be put in a thermos and last all day, that you could survive on less than you thought possible. The truck had no heating. When fall turned to winter, I slept in every layer I owned and still woke up shivering. I studied wrapped in blankets, my breath visible in the cold air. I dreamed about warm beds and hot showers and rooms with doors that locked. But I was in college. I was at UC Davis. I was getting the education I had worked for, and nobody knew. That was important to me. Nobody knew that while they were going back to their dorms, I was going back to a truck. Nobody knew that while they complained about their roommates, I was alone in a metal box in a parking lot. Nobody knew that I was living a secret life of survival while pretending to be a normal college student. I made 1 friend that first semester. Her name was Maya, and she was in my biology class. She was from LA pre-med, driven in a way that reminded me of myself. We studied together, got coffee together. She talked about her cramped dorm room like it was a prison. I said nothing about my truck. One night in November, Maya invited me to her dorm for a study session. I said yes because saying no would require an explanation. I walked into her small room with its twin beds and mini fridge and posters on the walls, and I almost cried. This was what I was supposed to have. This tiny room with its institutional furniture and thin walls was supposed to be mine. This was what college students got. This was normal. And I had a truck. Your roommate is out? I asked, setting down my backpack. Yeah, she is at her boyfriend's. Again, honestly, I basically have a single at this point. Maya flopped on her bed. I should not complain. Some people would kill for this much space. I thought about my truck, about the 6 feet of space between the driver's seat and the back wall where I slept. About how I could touch both sides if I stretched my arms out. Yeah, I said. Some people would. I did not go back to Maya's room after that. It hurt too much, but I kept going. I went to every class. I studied harder than anyone I knew. I worked my campus job 20 hours a week and my weekend job at a grocery store another 15. I was so tired I could barely see straight, but I kept going because that was what I did. I was the strong one, the capable one, the one who would be fine. Every few weeks, Mom would call. How was school? How was I doing? Was I making friends? I told her everything was great. Classes were good. I was adjusting well. The housing situation was working out. I never told her about the truck. I never told her about the cold or the fear or the loneliness. I never told her that sometimes I sat in that truck and cried so hard I thought I would break. Because what would be the point? She had made her choice. Jessica got the dorm room. I got the moving truck. And that was supposed to be fine. I lived in that truck for 8 months. 8 months of cold and fear and learning just how strong I actually was. 8 months of washing my hair in gym showers and studying in library corners and pretending I was like everyone else. 8 months of understanding that I was truly on my own. In May, I got an email that changed everything. I had won a scholarship, a full-ride scholarship, from a nonprofit that supported first-generation and low-income students. Someone had nominated me. I never found out who, but they had written about my academic achievements, my work ethic, my determination. They had seen me when nobody else had. The scholarship covered tuition, room and board, and a stipend for living expenses. It was renewable for years as long as I maintained a 3.5 GPA. I sat in my truck reading that email over and over, and I cried. But this time, they were different tears. These were tears of relief, of vindication, of finally catching a break. I moved into a dorm that summer, a real dorm with a bed and a desk and walls that did not rattle when the wind blew. My roommate was a sophomore named Claire who was kind and quiet and never asked why I looked at our small room like it was a palace. Sophomore year, I threw myself into everything. I joined study groups. I got a research position in a biology lab. I took extra shifts at my job not because I had to anymore, but because I was saving for something bigger. I was building an escape velocity. I called home less and less. Mom would call me, and I would give her short updates. Yes, school was fine. Yes, I was doing well. No, I did not need anything. Jessica was still at Sacramento State, still in her sorority, still posting pictures of parties and formals and sisterhood events, still being the daughter Mom invested in. I did not care anymore, or I told myself I did not care. Junior year, I changed my major to biochemical engineering. It was harder, more demanding, but it had better career prospects. I was not studying for passion. I was studying for security, for money, for the ability to never depend on anyone again. I met David during a group project that year. He was tall, quiet, studying computer science. We started having coffee after our meetings, then dinner, then more. He asked about my family once. I told him we were not close. He did not push. That was one of the things I loved about him. He understood that some doors stayed closed for good reasons. Senior year, I got recruited by 3 biotech companies. I graduated summa cum laude with a job offer at Genentech starting at $95,000 a year. $95,000. More money than Mom made as a guidance counselor. More money than I had ever imagined having. I was 22 years old, and I had done it entirely on my own. Mom came to my graduation. So did Jessica. They sat in the bleachers while I walked across that stage, and I felt nothing. No pride that they were there. No desire for their approval. They were just people I used to know. At dinner afterward, Mom kept talking about how proud she was, how she always knew I would do well, how all her sacrifices had been worth it. Her sacrifices. I smiled and nodded and said nothing. Jessica scrolled through her phone, bored. She was working part-time at a boutique now, still living at home, trying to figure out what she wanted to do with her communications degree. Mom was still supporting her, still paying for things, still making excuses, still choosing her. So, what are your plans now? Mom asked me over dessert. I am moving to South San Francisco, I said. I start at Genentech in June. South San Francisco? That is so far. Why do you not stay in Sacramento? There are biotech companies here. Because the opportunity is there, not here, but family is here. Mom reached across the table to pat my hand. You have worked so hard, honey. You deserve to come home and rest for a while. Home. As if the place that gave my sister a dorm room while I lived in a truck was home. I am fine, Mom. Actually, I am better than fine. I am exactly where I want to be. Something flickered in her eyes. Hurt, maybe. Or understanding that I was not the same daughter who left for years ago. Well, she said, withdrawing her hand. I am happy you are doing well. I moved to South San Francisco 3 weeks later. I found an apartment. A real apartment with a kitchen and a bathroom and heating that worked. I furnished it slowly, carefully, choosing each piece like it was precious. Because it was. It was mine, all mine. Nobody could take it away. I did not invite Mom or Jessica to see it. David and I got serious. We talked about moving in together, about the future, about building something permanent and safe. I got promoted within a year. Then again, by the time I was 25, I was making $140,000 a year as a senior research scientist. I bought a car. Not a fancy car, but a reliable one that I owned outright. I opened a retirement account. I saved money in amounts that would have seemed impossible for years earlier. I was building the life I should have had all along. And I was doing it without help from anyone who had let me down. Mom called less frequently. Our conversations got shorter. I did not visit for holidays. I was busy, I said. Work was demanding. I would try to make it next time. Next time never came. Jessica got engaged when I was 27. Mom called, excited, asking if I would be a bridesmaid. I said I would check my schedule and get back to her. I never did. I watched on social media as Jessica planned her wedding. Mom posted pictures of dress shopping, venue hunting, cake tasting. She looked so happy, so proud. I felt nothing. The wedding happened without me. I sent a card with a check for $50. Exactly the amount you give to a distant cousin you barely know. Mom called afterward, hurt that I had not come. Family is important, Alex, she said. Jessica was devastated you were not there. I am sure she was fine, I said. She had everyone else there. What is that supposed to mean? It means exactly what it sounds like. Jessica has always had everyone. She has always had you. She has always gotten everything she needed. I am sure my absence did not even register. That is not fair. I have always treated you girls equally. No, Mom, you have not, and we both know it. I hung up. She did not call back for 6 months. I got promoted to principal scientist when I was 29. I was making close to $200,000 a year now. David and I got engaged. We bought a house in Palo Alto with a yard and a garage and enough space for the family we talked about starting. I was 30 years old, and I had everything I had ever wanted. Career, partner, security, stability. And I had done it without them. Then on a Tuesday morning in October, I got a call from a number I did not recognize. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. Alex? It was Mom's voice, but wrong, shaky, desperate. Alex, I need to talk to you. It is about Jessica. She is sick. I did not respond right away. I just held the phone, listening to Mom's ragged breathing on the other end. What do you mean, sick? I finally asked. She has lupus. They diagnosed her 6 months ago. She has been in and out of the hospital. The treatments, the medications, they are so expensive, Alex. Our insurance does not cover everything. I have been trying to help her, but I have drained my retirement account. I have taken out loans. I do not know what else to do. 6 months. Jessica had been sick for 6 months, and this was the first I was hearing about it. Why are you just telling me this now? Because I did not want to bother you. You have your own life, your career. I know we have not been close lately. I almost laughed. Mom, we have not been close for 12 years. Silence on the other end. Then, I know I have made mistakes with you, Alex. I know things have not always been fair. But right now, I need to think about Jessica. She needs help, real help. Medical bills are piling up. She had to quit her job because she is too sick to work. She is about to lose her apartment. And you want what from me exactly? I know you are doing well. I see your LinkedIn. Principal scientist at Genentech. That is incredible, honey. I am so proud. Do not. My voice was sharp. Do not do that. Do not pretend you have been following my career. Do not pretend you are proud. Just say what you want. More silence. Then quieter. We need money. Jessica needs money. The medical bills alone are over $80,000. I have been paying what I can. but I am tapped out. My house is mortgaged. My credit cards are maxed. I thought maybe, since you are doing so well, you could help your sister. There it was. The ask I knew was coming the moment she called. Let me get this straight, I said slowly. Jessica is sick. You have spent everything helping her, and now you want me to pay her medical bills. She is your sister, Alex. Family helps family. Family. I tasted the word again, just like I had 12 years ago in Mom's office lobby. Where was family when I was living in a truck my freshman year? What are you talking about? What truck? The moving truck, Mom. The one I lived in for 8 months because you said you could not afford to dorm rooms. Remember? Jessica got hers, and I got wheels. I heard her sharp intake of breath. You lived in a truck? Alex, I did not know. You did not want to know. I told you I found alternative housing. You never asked what that meant. You never checked on me. You never cared enough to find out how I was actually doing. That is not fair. If you had told me, I should not have had to tell you, Mom. You should have cared enough to ask. You should have chosen me at least once. Just once. But you did not. You chose Jessica then, and you have been choosing her ever since. Alex, please. I know I have not been perfect, but Jessica is really sick. She could lose everything. And I almost lost everything too. I almost failed out freshman year because I was so exhausted from living in a truck and working 2 jobs. I almost gave up 100 times, but I did not. I survived. I built a life, and I did it without any help from you. So you are going to punish Jessica for my mistakes? She needs help, Alex. Real help. Please, I am begging you. I looked around my office, at the diplomas on my wall, at the awards and certificates I had earned, at the life I had built from nothing while Jessica had everything handed to her. No, I said quietly. What? No, I am not going to help. Jessica is your daughter. You made that clear a long time ago. She is your responsibility, not mine. You cannot be serious. She is your sister. She is a stranger who happens to share some DNA. We have not had a real conversation in over a decade. She did not care about me then. I do not care about her now. Alex, please. You are the only one who can help. You are the only one with money. Then maybe you should have invested in both your daughters instead of just one. Maybe you should have made sure I had housing instead of spending money on Jessica's sorority dues. Maybe you should have chosen me at least once. This is not about the past. This is about right now. Jessica could die. People could die every day, Mom. That does not make them my responsibility. Jessica has you. She has always had you. She will continue to have you. But she does not have me. You are being cruel. No, I am being exactly as generous as you were to me. Which is to say, not at all. I hung up. My hands were shaking. My heart was racing. But underneath it all was something solid and unmovable. Certainty. I had spent 12 years building a life without them. I was not going to let them pull me back into their dysfunction now. David found me in my office an hour later, staring at nothing. You okay? He asked. I told him everything. The call, the ask, the memories of the truck and the cold and the loneliness. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he pulled me close. You do not owe them anything, he said simply. You know that, right? I know, but everyone else is going to think I am terrible. Let them think what they want. They were not living in a truck at 18. They do not get an opinion. I nodded against his chest, feeling the weight of the decision settle over me. Mom called 6 more times that week. I did not answer. She left voicemails, each one more desperate than the last. I deleted them without listening. Then the emails started, not just from Mom, but from relatives I barely knew, Jessica's friends, people from my hometown who had opinions about family and duty and responsibility. I blocked them all. The pressure campaign lasted for 3 weeks. First came the Facebook posts, nothing directed at me specifically, but pointed enough that I knew they were about me. Posts about family supporting each other. Posts about being there in times of crisis. Posts about blood being thicker than water. I unfollowed everyone who posted them. Then came the phone calls to my work. Somehow, Mom had gotten the main line to Genentech and started calling, asking for me, saying it was a family emergency. After the 3rd call, I had to notify my manager and explain the situation. I am so sorry, I told her. My mother is trying to guilt me into paying for my sister's medical bills. I have told her no, but she will not stop. My manager, A woman named Dr. Chen, who I respected immensely, looked at me with understanding. I am sorry you are dealing with this. Let me talk to security. We can make sure those calls do not get through to you anymore. The calls stopped coming to work, but they started coming to David instead. Mom found his number somehow and called him, crying, begging him to convince me. She told him I was letting my sister die, that I was cruel and heartless, that I had always been difficult and cold. David listened politely, then said, Mrs. Martinez, I have heard Alex's side of this story, and based on what she has told me, I completely support her decision. Please do not call this number again. He blocked her, but Mom was not done. She showed up at our house on a Saturday morning. I saw her car in the driveway and felt my stomach drop. David squeezed my hand. I will tell her to leave, he said. No, I need to do this. I walked outside. Mom was sitting in her car, gripping the steering wheel. When she saw me, she got out. She looked terrible, thinner, older, exhausted. Alex, please, just hear me out. You have 5 minutes. Jessica is getting worse. The treatments are not working. She needs to see specialists that our insurance will not cover. I have sold everything I can sell. The house is in foreclosure. I do not know what else to do. You could let her handle her own medical bills. She is an adult. She cannot. She has no money, no savings. No, Mom stopped herself, but too late. No financial stability because you never taught her to take care of herself, I finished. You gave her everything she wanted and never made her learn to stand on her own. That is not my problem, Mom. That is yours. How can you be so cold? This is your sister. This is the sister who got a dorm room while I lived in a truck. This is the sister who got her sorority dues paid while I worked 2 jobs. This is the sister you chose over and over and over. Why should I care about her now? Because she is family. No, she is your family. She stopped being mine the day you made it clear she mattered more than me. Mom started crying. I know I was not perfect. I know I made mistakes. But please, Alex, if not for Jessica, then for me. I am begging you. I looked at this woman who was supposed to have loved me equally. This woman who was supposed to have protected both her daughters. This woman who had made 1,000 small choices that added up to one clear message. Jessica was worth investing in, and I was not. No, I said again. The answer is no. It was no last week. It is no today, and it will be no tomorrow. Stop calling. Stop emailing. Stop showing up at my house. I do not want to hear from you again. You are going to regret this when she is gone, Mom said, her voice turning bitter. You are going to live with this guilt for the rest of your life. I have lived with a lot of things, I said. One more will not make a difference. I went back inside. David locked the door behind me. We watched through the window as Mom sat in her car for another 20 minutes before finally driving away. You okay? David asked. I am tired of everyone thinking I am the villain in this story. You are not the villain. You are the person who survived despite everyone failing you. There is a difference. I nodded, but I felt hollow. Not guilty exactly, just tired. So tired of carrying this weight. The next week, I got an email from Aunt Carol, Mom's sister. She said I was selfish and cruel and that I should be ashamed of myself. She said my mother had sacrificed everything for me and Jessica, and this was how I repaid her. I wrote back one line, ask Mom about the moving truck. She did not email again, but others did. Cousins, family friends, people who knew nothing about my life but felt entitled to judge my choices. I stopped reading the emails. I set up filters so they went straight to trash. And then, 4 months after Mom's first call, she showed up at my office. Security called my desk. Dr. Martinez, there is a Linda Martinez and a Jessica Martinez in the lobby asking to see you. They say they are family. My heart sank. Tell them I am in a meeting. They say they will wait. I looked at my computer screen, at the research data I had been analyzing, at the job I loved, the career I had built, the life that was finally mine. And they were here, in my space, demanding entry. Tell them I will be down in 10 minutes. I took those 10 minutes to breathe, to center myself, to remember who I was and what I had survived. Then I went downstairs. Mom and Jessica were sitting in the lobby. Mom looked like she had aged 10 years since I had seen her at my house. Jessica looked worse, pale, thin, dark circles under her eyes. She was wearing a scarf over her head. The lupus treatments had taken her hair. She looked sick, really sick. I felt something crack in my chest, just a little. Not sympathy exactly, but recognition. Recognition of suffering, of pain, of a life not going the way you planned. Then I remembered the truck, the cold, the fear, my own suffering that nobody cared about. This is inappropriate, I said instead of hello. You cannot show up at my workplace. We have nowhere else to go, Mom said. She was not crying anymore. She was past crying. She just looked empty. Alex, please, just give us 5 minutes. I looked at Jessica. She would not meet my eyes. 5 minutes, I said. In the conference room. I led them to a small conference room off the lobby. Glass walls. Nowhere private. I wanted witnesses to whatever was about to happen. We sat. I did not offer water or coffee. I just waited. Thank you for seeing us, Mom started. You ambushed me at work. I did not have a choice. I know. I am sorry. But you would not return my calls or emails, and I am desperate, Alex. We are desperate. She pulled out a folder. Inside were medical bills, collection notices, foreclosure warnings, paper evidence of their life falling apart. Jessica's bills are over $150,000 now, Mom said. I have sold the house. It is in escrow, but even with that money, I will barely cover half. I need help. I looked at Jessica. Why are not you saying anything? She finally looked at me. Her eyes were dull with pain and medication and exhaustion. What do you want me to say? She asked quietly. That I am sorry? That I did not know about the truck? Would it matter? I do not know. Would it? Probably not. You have already decided I am the enemy. Mom's favorite. The one who got everything while you got nothing. And maybe that is true. Maybe I did get more. I did not ask for it, but I got it. But that does not mean I deserve to die because of it. I never said you deserve to die. Then why would not you help me? I leaned back in my chair. 12 years of anger and hurt and resentment bubbled up, and I had to force my voice to stay calm. Let me ask you something, Jessica. Do you know where I lived my freshman year of college? She blinked, confused by the question. In a dorm? No, I lived in a moving truck. In an RV lot. For 8 months. I showered at the gym. I washed my clothes in bathroom sinks. I ate ramen and peanut butter sandwiches because that was all I could afford. Do you know why I lived in a truck? Jessica looked at Mom. Mom looked at the table. Because Mom said she could not afford to dorm rooms, I continued. She said the money was not there. So you got yours, and I got a truck. I did not know. Jessica whispered. You did not ask. Neither of you asked. You just assumed I was fine because I always figured things out. Because I was the strong one, the capable one, the one who did not need help. Alex, Mom said, if I had known, but you did not know. And you did not know because you did not care enough to find out. You cared about Jessica's sorority dues and her new laptop and her perfect college experience. You did not care that I was freezing in a truck every night, crying myself to sleep, wondering if I was going to make it. Tears were streaming down Mom's face now. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I failed you. I know I did. But please, do not punish Jessica for my mistakes. I am not punishing anyone, I said. I am simply choosing not to save someone who would not have saved me. You made a choice 12 years ago about which daughter was worth investing in. I am making the same choice now. Jessica leaned forward. So that is it? You are going to let me lose everything? Maybe even die? Because you are angry about college? I am not angry about college. I am angry about a lifetime of being second, of being told I did not need as much, of being expected to sacrifice while you got everything. The truck was just the breaking point. It was just the moment I realized that no matter what I did, I was never going to be enough for Mom to choose me. I did love you, Mom said desperately. I did choose you. Maybe not in the ways you needed, but I tried. You did not try hard enough. I stood up. This conversation was over. I am sorry you are sick, Jessica. I genuinely am. I would not wish that on anyone. But I am not going to pay your medical bills. I am not going to save you. You have Mom. You have always had Mom. That is going to have to be enough. It is not enough. Mom stood too, her voice breaking. The house sale will not cover everything. Even with that money, Jessica will still owe tens of thousands. The treatments she needs cost more than I can ever pay. Please, Alex, you are the only one who can help. I took out $500 and set it on the conference table. Here. I said. $500. That is more than you left me when I was living in a truck on a part-time job income. Mom stared at the money like I had slapped her. You cannot be serious, Jessica said, her voice hollow. I am completely serious. You said you needed help. There is help. $500. Take it or leave it. Jessica needs $150,000. And I needed housing. We do not always get what we need, do we? Sometimes we have to figure it out ourselves. You taught me that, Mom, very effectively. Mom grabbed the money with shaking hands. This will not even make a dent. This will not solve anything. Neither did the $2 you left me, but it was something. Just like this is something. The difference is, I am giving you $500. You gave me $2. I am being 250 times more generous than you were. That should tell you something. It tells me you are cruel, Jessica said, standing now too. It tells me you have turned into someone bitter and cold and incapable of compassion. It tells you that I learned the lessons you both taught me. I shot back. That some people matter and some people do not. That some people are worth investing in and some people are not. That some people get rooms and some people get trucks. I am just applying those same lessons now. She is going to die, Mom whispered. Without treatment, without the medicine she needs, Jessica is going to die. And you are okay with that? I looked at Jessica, at her pale face and tired eyes and the scarf covering her missing hair. I am sorry that you are sick, I said to her directly. I truly am. But your medical crisis is not my responsibility. Your bills are not my burden. Your choices and Mom's choices led you here, just like my choices led me here. We all have to live with the consequences of our decisions. My decision? Jessica's voice rose. What decision did I make? I did not choose to get sick. You chose to let Mom support you your entire adult life. You chose not to get a real job or build a career or save money or plan for emergencies. You chose to be dependent on someone else. Those choices have consequences too. Life is not fair, Jessica. I learned that when I was 18 years old, sleeping in a truck. You are learning it now. I am sorry the lesson is so hard, but it is not my job to make it easier. I walked to the door of the conference room. Do not come to my office again. Do not call my house. Do not contact David. If you keep harassing me, I will file a restraining order. I mean that. Alex, please. Mom tried one more time. I am begging you. I will do anything. I will pay you back. There is nothing you can do, I said quietly. You cannot go back in time and give me a dorm room. You cannot undo 12 years of choosing Jessica over me. You cannot make me the daughter you invested in. It is too late for all of that. So this is revenge? This is payback? No, this is boundaries. This is me protecting the life I built without any help from you. This is me choosing myself the way you should have chosen me. I left them sitting in that conference room with $500 on the table and walked back to my office. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding, but I did not cry. I sat at my desk and looked at my research data and reminded myself why I had worked so hard. So I would never be the girl in the truck again. So I would never need anyone who had proven they would not be there. So I would never, ever let someone make me feel less than again. I had survived. I had built a life, and I was not going to let anyone tear it down. Not even family, especially not family. I did not hear from them for 2 weeks after that meeting. I told myself that meant they had accepted my decision, that they had finally understood I was not going to change my mind, that they had moved on. I was wrong. The next contact came from a lawyer, a letter threatening to sue me for financial abandonment of a family member in medical crisis. I showed it to my own lawyer, who laughed and said they had no legal standing. Family members could not be forced to pay each other's bills. They are desperate, my lawyer said. This is a Hail Mary. Do not even respond. I did not respond. The lawsuit never materialized. Then came the media campaign. Sister refuses to help dying sibling despite six-figure salary. The segment ran on the evening news. They showed pictures of Jessica in the hospital, talked about her medical bills, mentioned that she had a sister in biotech who was refusing to help despite having the means. They did not mention the truck. They did not mention the 12 years of being second. They did not mention anything that would make me sympathetic. The segment went semi-viral. I started getting messages on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. Strangers calling me heartless, saying I should be ashamed, saying family should come first. But not everyone took their side. Maya, my friend from freshman year biology, saw the news segment. She messaged me on Facebook. I had no idea you lived in a truck, she wrote. You never said anything. God, Alex, I am so sorry. I used to complain about my dorm room in front of you. I feel terrible. You did not know, I wrote back. Nobody knew. That was the point. For what it is worth, I think you are right to protect your boundaries. What your mom did was inexcusable. Her message meant more than all the hate messages combined. David's parents, who I had told the whole story to, called to check on me. You are doing the right thing, his mother said firmly. Do not let anyone make you doubt that. My manager, Dr. Chen, pulled me aside at work. I saw the news segment, she said. I want you to know that everyone here supports you. What you have built for yourself is incredible. Do not let them tear you down. But the negative attention was overwhelming. I had to make all my social media accounts private. I had to change my phone number. I had to ask security at work to be extra vigilant. And through it all, I kept working, kept living my life, kept refusing to engage. Mom had gotten about $200,000 after paying off the mortgage. She used it to pay down Jessica's medical bills and moved into a one-bedroom apartment. Jessica moved in with her. They were barely scraping by. Mom had taken out a second job. Jessica was on state assistance for her continued treatments. They had lost everything: the house, the stability, the comfortable life Mom had built. And I felt nothing, no satisfaction, no guilt. Just a distant sense that justice, in its own strange way, had been served. 6 months after that, Amy called me with an update. Jessica is doing better, she said. The treatments are working. She is in remission. That is good, I said, and I meant it. I did not want Jessica to die. I just did not want to be the one to save her. Your mom is struggling though. She is working 2 jobs and can barely make rent. She looks so old, Alex. So tired. She made her choices. I know. I am not saying you are wrong. I am just saying, it is hard to watch. It was hard to live in a truck too. But I did not have anyone feeling sorry for me, Amy sighed. I know. I just thought you should know how things are going. Thanks for the update. After I hung up, David found me staring at nothing. You okay? Jessica is in remission. That is good. Yeah, but you do not feel good about it. I do not feel anything about it. That is what is strange. I thought I would feel something. Relief or satisfaction or guilt or anything. But I just feel empty. David pulled me close. Maybe that is okay. Maybe you have spent so much energy on this that you do not have any feelings left to spare. And that is okay. I nodded against his shoulder. Maybe he was right. Maybe I had used up all my feelings on this years ago, and now there was just nothing left. Life went on. David and I got married in a small ceremony with our closest friends. Mom and Jessica were not invited. I did not send an announcement. I got promoted again. David's startup got acquired. We started talking about having kids. My life was full and happy and stable. Everything I had worked for, everything I had survived for, and they were not part of it, would never be part of it. Sometimes I wondered if I was cruel, if I should have helped despite everything, if the punishment exceeded the crime. But then I would remember the truck, the cold, the fear, the absolute certainty that I did not matter. And I knew I had made the right choice. Not the easy choice. Not the choice everyone would agree with, but the right choice for me. And it has been 5 years since that day in the conference room. 5 years since I put $500 on the table and walked away. I am 35 now. David and I have a daughter named Sophie. She is 2 years old with his dark hair and my stubborn determination. We have another baby on the way. I run my own research lab now. Dr. Chen retired and recommended me as her replacement. I have a team of 8 scientists working under me. We are doing groundbreaking work in gene therapy, work that might save lives one day. My life is everything I dreamed it could be when I was 18 years old, sleeping in a truck, wondering if I would make it. I made it. Mom and Jessica are still in Sacramento, still struggling. Jessica's lupus is manageable but chronic. She will deal with it for the rest of her life. Mom is still working 2 jobs at 63 years old, trying to keep them afloat. I know this because Amy still updates me occasionally. I do not ask for the updates, but I do not stop her either. Last month, Sophie and I were at the grocery store. I turned a corner and nearly ran into someone. It was Mom. We both froze. Alex, she breathed. Mom. We stood there in the cereal aisle, 12 years of hurt and anger and choices between us. Is this? She looked at Sophie. Is this your daughter? Yes, she is beautiful. Thank you. Sophie, oblivious to the tension, smiled at her grandmother she had never met. Mom's eyes filled with tears. I have missed so much, she whispered. Yes, I said. You have. I looked at this woman who had given birth to me, who had raised me, who had failed me in the ways that mattered most. And I felt that same emptiness I had felt for years. No anger, no forgiveness, just nothing. No, I said quietly. I do not think that is a good idea. Please. And she is my daughter, my responsibility, my choice to protect. And I am choosing to protect her from the same hurt I experienced. You did not mean to hurt me either. But you did, and I will not risk that happening to her. Mom's face crumbled. So this is it? You are just going to cut me out forever? Never give me a chance to be in your life? I thought about the question, really thought about it. Could I forgive her? Could I let her back in? Could we ever repair what was broken? Maybe some people could. Maybe some people were capable of that kind of forgiveness, that kind of grace. That you did not owe anyone access to your life just because they were family. You had 18 years to be in my life, I said. You chose to be in Jessica's instead. I am just respecting the choice you already made. I moved past her with Sophie, leaving her standing in the cereal aisle, tears streaming down her face. Sophie waved goodbye, still smiling. She had no idea she had just met her grandmother for the first and last time. David asked me about it that night. I told him what happened. How do you feel? He asked. Tired, I said honestly. Just tired of carrying this. But I do not regret my choice. Do you think you ever will? No, because every time I doubt myself, I remember that 18-year-old girl living in a truck. And I remember that nobody came to save her. She had to save herself. I owe it to her to protect what she built. David kissed my forehead. She would be proud of you. That girl in the truck. She would be proud of who you became. I thought about that. About the girl I was and the woman I became. About the distance between them and the bridge of pain and determination that connected them. Yeah, I think she would be proud. Dear Alex, I know you do not want to hear from me. I know you have made your position clear, but I need to say this one more time. Even if you throw this letter away without reading it, I am sorry. I am deeply, profoundly sorry for every way I failed you. You are right about everything. I did choose Jessica over you. I did make you feel less important. I did leave you to struggle while making sure Jessica had everything she needed. I told myself I was doing what was best. I told myself you were strong enough to handle it, that you did not need as much support. I told myself a lot of things to justify my choices. But the truth is, I was wrong. I was wrong about all of it. You did need me. You needed me to see you, to choose you, to invest in you the way I invested in Jessica. And I did not do that. I failed you in ways that I cannot take back. I do not expect forgiveness. I do not expect a relationship. I just wanted you to know that I understand now what I did. I understand why you closed the door. I understand that some hurts are too deep to heal. I am proud of you, Alex. I know I have no right to say that, but I am. You built an incredible life despite me, not because of me. You are strong and successful and everything I should have helped you become but did not. I hope you are happy. I hope you have the family you deserve. I hope your children never doubt for a second that they are loved and chosen and important. I am sorry I could not be that mother for you. I read the letter once. Then I put it in a drawer with all the other documents from my past. My college acceptance letters, my scholarship award, photos of the moving truck I found years later, evidence of who I was and what I survived. I did not write back. There was nothing left to say. She understood now, and that was enough. Not enough to change anything, but enough to close the book on that chapter of my life. Last week, Sophie asked me about grandparents. Her friend at preschool has grandparents who visit and bring presents and take her to the park. Why do not I have grandmas and grandpas? She asked. David and I had prepared for this question. We knew it would come eventually. You do have them, I said carefully, but they live far away, and we do not see them. Why not? Because sometimes grown-ups make choices that hurt other grown-ups. And when that happens, sometimes you have to protect yourself by keeping distance. Did they hurt you? I thought about how to explain 12 years of pain in terms a 4-year-old could understand. Yes, I said simply. They did. And mommy decided it was safer and healthier to not have them in our lives. Do you still love them? Did I? That was the question I had been asking myself for years. Did I love the woman who gave birth to me? Did I love the sister I grew up with? I do not know, I told Sophie honestly. I think I love the people they could have been, but I do not love the people they actually were. She thought about this with the seriousness only a 4-year-old can muster. Then she hugged me. It is okay, mommy. You have me and daddy. That is enough family. And she was right. It was enough. More than enough. I am 35 years old. I have a career I love, a partner who cherishes me, children who will never doubt they are wanted, and a life I built from nothing. I spent 8 months living in a moving truck because my mother said she could not afford 2 dorm rooms. My sister got the room. I got the wheels. That choice, her choice, taught me everything I needed to know about survival, about self-reliance, about protecting yourself when nobody else will. People ask me sometimes if I regret cutting them out, if I think I was too harsh, if I should have helped anyway because family is family. And I always think about that 18-year-old girl, shivering in a truck, wondering if she would make it. I think about how scared she was, how alone, how determined not to give up. She did not give up. She survived. She thrived. She built a life that nobody could take away from her. I owe her everything. I owe it to her to protect what she built. I owe it to her to never let anyone make her feel small again. So, no, I do not regret my choices. I made them for her, for that scared girl in the truck who deserves so much better than what she got. She got better eventually. She got everything she worked for, but she got it herself. And that is the most important part of the story. Not that I was abandoned, not that I struggled, not that I suffered, but that I survived. And I did not just survive. I won. My family says I am heartless. My coworkers say I am strong. What do you think? Should I have helped my sister despite everything? Or was I right to protect the life I built from nothing? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments below. If you believe people should face the consequences of their actions, hit subscribe. I have got more stories of justice that will blow your mind.